Hi there, it's Paige here from the impactcopywriter.com, and today we're back with another copywriting review. Today we're focused on optimizing this Get Abs fitness training product Facebook ad. Now, before we hop in, remember, copy can always be optimized. We can always make everything we put out there stronger so that it performs better. And most of the time, in the case of Facebook ads, we're looking at improving our click-through rates, and in that journey, also improving our conversions. All right, now let's look at the copywriting brief. So in conversion copywriting, this is often referred to as the rule of one. I like to call it the copywriting brief, and it's really kind of the core pillars that we use when we're writing copy, and it's also the core pillars I use when I'm reviewing and optimizing copy. Keep in mind, this isn't in the wild ad that I grabbed from my own Facebook timeline. So I don't have a lot of insider information about the strategy, the business strategy, the ad strategy, or about the ideal buyer. But we can start to look at the ad copy and pull up the why am I seeing this ad option on Facebook to get a better idea of who this business is trying to reach. And that can help us make better informed decisions when we're looking at changing and optimizing the copy that we have. Now you can see here just by looking at the targeting or how they're targeting me specifically, we can see that they're trying to reach people who are similar to their customers. That means they've created a lookalike audience. They're trying to reach people who are interested in physical fitness and physical exercise. So that is an interest group that they're actually using to reach me. They're trying to reach people who speak English, either UK English or US English. That just helps them be more specific and helps their ad show to the right people. They're trying to reach females specifically, which is interesting, ages 30 to 64. And of course, they're limiting by geographical region, which is the United States. So that does help us get a better picture of who this ad is trying to appeal to. And if we also look at the snippet of ad copy that you can see in the description text, most likely these females are going to be interested in something about slimming their belly, trimming their waistline, in this area of being concerned about the belly region. After all, this offer is promoting a $39 video bundle of ab exercises and workouts designed to help trim the waistline and get six-pack abs. Now, for this specific ad and this specific offer, they're offering a special. So a 75% off, which makes the bundle, instead of $39 for a limited time, it's only going to be $9. The big idea for this ad is flatten your belly from your bed. Now, you can't really see the big idea from the ad itself. I actually had to, go through the journey and look at the sales page to get a better grasp of the big idea. So that could be something that we look at a little bit later on, is why is the ad not communicating the big idea of the campaign or of the sales page itself. And for this ad specifically, we can reasonably say the promise is that if they buy this, they're going to get 75% off for a limited time with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Now, this is a very product-focused type promise. A lot of times with a promise, we will see something that's related more strongly to the big idea or to the outcome that is promised with using this product or service. When we're optimizing Facebook ads, this is where copy fits in like the bigger picture. So, the first thing we're going to look at always is audience. If you're not targeting the right audience, it doesn't matter how great the copy is, it's not going to resonate. And then we look at creative because that's what people notice first when they're scrolling through their timeline. So if you're testing, video against video against a static image or static images against each other. And then underneath the creative is when we start to look at the copy. Specifically, we look at the headline first, and then we optimize the description after the headline. All right, now let's look at the ad and optimize it. Now keep in mind this is a video ad and I'm not able to generate and save the script for us to optimize. So what we're going to focus on is, optimizing for someone who's scrolling through Facebook and they're not necessarily watching the video, right? So they're just scrolling. So that's what we're going to optimize for in this video. The first thing I noticed was that the headline, Stabilize the Spine with these doctor-created core routines, seemed to be in misalignment with our big idea. Now, I know our big idea is, about flattening the belly from the bed, and I grabbed that from the sales page. And then, so we have this idea of trimming the waistline, flattening the belly, improving the core area in terms of how it looks. That's also, apparent in the description text. We can see that it says, most core exercises do not tighten the waistline. So we're mentioning tightening the waistline, which is connected to that, core outcome that we assume that this ideal buyer wants, is they want to flatten their belly. Now, the problem with the headline is that it's not connected to that core desire. Here we're seeing the headline stabilize the spine. And though that might be important and it might be a benefit, it doesn't seem like it is strongly aligned with what this ideal buyer cares about most. Do they care about stabilizing their spine? Is that something that they have expressed? Now, without knowing their voice of customer research, I can't say for sure, but we can start to think about what does this ideal buyer want most in terms of what we can deliver with our program. So my first recommendation would be to test a headline that's aligned with the big idea and buyer desires. For example, how to flatten your belly from your bed. Now that is the headline of the sales page that is part of this campaign. So that's where that came from. Now, I really like the curiosity that the first headline creates. So flatten your belly from your bed. That seems almost impossible, right? Because it goes against everything that we believe about getting a flatter belly, is that it requires a lot of work. Then I'm going to have to do sit-ups and crunches and a whole bunch of things. And I'm going to have to be really miserable when I do it. So that's a very interesting idea that kind of creates that curiosity and pulls me in. I also love this as a test because it creates a really strong message match between the ad headline and what they see when they land on the sales page. So it's a really strong kind of breadcrumb trail, if you will, for people coming from Facebook. So we could also test other headlines, around that core idea, just expressing them in different ways. So tighten and tone your tummy without crunches or sit-ups. So here we have an alliteration, tighten, tone, tummy, all starting with T, and without crunches or sit-ups is, again, overcoming a barrier or a hesitation or a false belief that people believe is required in order to tighten and tone your tummy. We could say something like, get a sleek and sexy stomach, no sit-ups required. So again, we have that alliteration, sleek, sexy stomach, and no sit-ups required is, again, overcoming that false belief, that myth, and, that initial hesitation that it's going to be a lot of work. We could also say something that's very connected to how a woman might describe her belly, the belly that she doesn't like. So we could say something like, get rid of the kangaroo pouch with these 4 ab exercises. So that's something that I have personally seen. People call their lower abdomen area. And so we can, draw them in with the language that they're using. If you have evidence in your voice of customer research that women are expressing themselves this way, then it could make a great headline. Now, in the last example, I'm also being very specific about how they're going to get rid of it, because we could get rid of the kangaroo pouch with like some magic weight loss coffee or something like that. So we want to make sure that we are, attracting the right people. So I've added, some specificity in the last bit of the headline and mentioned kind of the keyword. So ab exercises that's relevant to what we're selling on the back end. The second observation I had was that the initial description text here at the top seemed to be an afterthought. So, they're really wanting people to watch the video, and the video was actually very interesting. I actually watched a good part of the video because they were explaining some things. They opened that curiosity gap and they started to explain, why sit-ups and crunches don't actually flatten your tummy. They don't actually tighten your waistline. So it was a very interesting story to follow, actually learn some new things about how the body works. The problem is to get to that part, to get to the video, I have to want to dive in. I have to want to turn on my volume. I have to want to sit there and let the video play. So, the next thing that I would recommend that they do to optimize this ad is to consider using the script or some version of the script, depending on how long it is, as the description text so that viewers don't have to actually watch the video. You will have people who will watch the video, and you'll have people like me who are super busy and they're just scanning before they decide to watch anything, and they'll actually read through or scan through the description text first. So, right now as it stands, people have to actually watch the video and turn on the volume in order to get anything out of the video, in order to absorb those persuasion messages that we need them to get to understand in order to, click through to the next step. So that's a barrier right now. So if we add the script in some version of the script as the description text, then that's no longer a barrier, because if they click that read more part of the description text, then they're already starting to absorb those messages. Along those same lines, I would also encourage you to use captions on all your videos, because people don't play the video with the volume on. Now, pay attention to your behavior on Facebook. How often are you listening to videos? Pay attention to what people around you are doing. And, they're not listening to the volume because maybe they don't have headphones in. They're in a public space. They're at work. They're in a toilet, killing time on Facebook while they're doing their business or whatnot. So more often than not, people aren't automatically playing the volume. And so that's not a problem if you have captions, because people can watch the video and read the captions without the volume. So again, that would be another recommendation, would be to add captions to the video so that viewers can absorb those messages without turning on their volume. That again reduces another barrier to hearing and seeing those persuasion messages that you have so carefully put together in your video. It removes those barriers so that people can see what they need to see to get to the next step. Now, as I've already said, we don't have a lot to work with in the description text, because this was really, at least it seems to me, this was intended to get people interested enough to stop and watch the video. Now, we've already discussed some ways around that, right? So let's just look at a few things in the current description text. If we weren't going to do that, then what are some other copywriting techniques that we could use? Now, the first thing I want to draw attention to is, the fact that we're using very vague language, most core exercises. How many people who are not trainers or, hardcore fitness enthusiasts go around saying core exercises? Not that many. They're going to name exercises by their name. They're going to say sit-ups. They're going to say crunches, whatever that they're familiar with. So I would encourage you to be specific. So instead of saying most core exercises, name them specifically. And they actually do that later, but there's no reason to add it in parentheses as an example when we can just say exercises like crunches and sit-ups don't tighten the waistline. So there we're being more specific and making a better connection with people who are already, if we have that data that suggests that they're already doing crunches and sit-ups, they're familiar with those, and that's what they believe they need to do to get a smaller waistline or a tighter tummy or a smaller, sexier stomach area. We want to name those things specifically. I would also encourage you to use your customers' words. So my attention did grab on the phrase tighten the waistline, because tighten the waistline did seem a little bit like maybe chiropractic speak, or maybe something a stylist would use in terms of talking about clothing or whatnot. But, if I'm thinking about women who they're trying to reach, who have concerns about their belly area, I don't hear them say, I want to tighten my waistline. That's what I want. So what would they say? What would your ideal buyer say? I want to blank. Now, a great way to find that out is to do online conversation mining, to do surveys, to do interviews, and really go through those real words that people are using in everyday conversation. Maybe they're saying, I want to tone my belly. I want to tone my tummy. I want to tighten my belly. I want to tighten my tummy. I want to pull in my belly. I want to slim my belly. I want to get rid of that kangaroo pouch, like I've already mentioned. I want to be sleek. I want my stomach to be sleek and sexy. I want a sexy stomach, or something along those lines. So we'll want to make sure that we do that work up front before we write any copy for the campaign, to make sure we have those voice of customer insights so that we can write copy that's going to resonate with the ideal buyer. Now, we have other instances of language that for me falls flat because it sounds too technical and not enough like what real people would say. So we have this language, like vertical running ab muscles. That might be technically correct, but you kind of lose me a little bit because that's not the vocabulary that I would use. We have another instance, the horizontal running ab muscles. So again, a little bit too technical, it kind of falls flat. So I would, push to see, is there some other way we can describe those that's going to be more approachable for the ideal buyer? And for example, instead of saying horizontal running ab muscles, could you say something like your corset muscles? But, people know what a corset looks like, or at least women know what a corset looks like. They know what it's intended to do. So corset is a more approachable visual in terms of words than horizontal running ab muscles. So our corset ab muscles or corset muscles. And, that's a visual that they use in the video. So it makes a lot of sense to have, more approachable language, more visual language that's going to be relatable to the ideal buyer. All right, that brings us to the end of this copywriting review. I hope you grabbed at least one insight that you can use to write stronger Facebook ads for your business. Happy optimizing!